The diner was quiet that evening, the kind of quiet that feels ordinary until something extraordinary disrupts it. She had come in seeking nothing more than a moment of calm, a brief respite from the outside world. The aroma of coffee and fried food mingled in the air, the clinking of plates and silver were providing a comforting background rhythm. To anyone glancing in, she appeared just like any other customer, a young woman, quietly seated, absorbed in her own thoughts. Her presence was unassuming, almost invisible. It is often in these ordinary moments that people make the gravest mistakes, because they see what they want to see, not what is true. And that's exactly what happened that night. A group of men, laughing loudly, carrying the kind of arrogance that comes from never having been questioned, noticed her. Their eyes lingered not on her individuality, but on what they perceived as weakness. They saw an opportunity, a target that could be dominated with a few careless actions. They didn't see a person. They saw a projection of control over someone they assumed couldn't fight back. The first act of disrespect was subtle, a careless comment, a mocking smile, an intrusive stare. But it escalated quickly. One of them reached toward her plate, knocking it slightly, and when she flinched, another took it further. Their actions became deliberate, meant to humiliate, to assert dominance. And then, the moment that would change everything happened. They ripped her shirt. The audacity of the act shocked even them, or at least they thought it did. In their minds, it was an assertion of power, a display of control over someone they believed powerless. But appearances are deceiving. Strength is often silent. Power can be hidden in ways the unobservant will never comprehend. As they laughed and jeered, they were unaware that they had underestimated a force far greater than physical confrontation, awareness, instinct, and heritage. Because she was not simply a random young woman at a diner, she was the sister of the Hells Angels. She was someone whose life and identity carried weight that demanded respect, whether they understood it or not. From the moment she realized the situation was escalating, she maintained composure. She did not cry out in fear, nor did she attempt to escalate further with anger. Her mind was focused, measuring, calculating. Every action had a consequence, every movement could be read, and every second mattered. Courage is not always loud, sometimes it is measured, deliberate, and quiet. She understood that panic could provoke further cruelty, that fear could give her attackers the satisfaction they sought. So she remained calm, a storm gathering quietly beneath the surface. Meanwhile, in the shadows, unseen by the aggressors, eyes were watching. The bonds of family are not always apparent in the ordinary course of life, but they are always present. Loyalty runs deep, carried in the blood, in the shared experiences, and in the unspoken understanding of those who protect their own. When someone violates that boundary, even unknowingly, it triggers a force that few can resist. And so, while the men thought they were asserting dominance, the unseen guardians were already moving, their presence invisible but imminent. This moment illuminates a fundamental truth about human behavior. Assumptions are dangerous. When we reduce others to what we perceive them to be, when we ignore their experiences, history, and connections, we expose ourselves to consequences far greater than our imagination can hold. The men at the diner assumed weakness. They assumed compliance. They assumed their actions were without repercussion. But they did not account for the depth of family loyalty, for the silent strength of someone they underestimated. It is often said that strength reveals itself in the moments of crisis. But strength also resides in restraint, in awareness, and in the quiet understanding of one's place within a larger network of support. She did not have to act violently to command power in that moment. Her identity, her heritage, and the people who watched over her already shifted the balance of power without her raising a hand. That is the kind of strength that many fail to recognize until it is too late, strength that is invisible until revealed by circumstance. In the moments that followed, tension saturated the air. Every glance, every movement was a measure of the unspoken rules being rewritten in real time. The aggressors, so confident moments ago, began to sense the undercurrent they could not see. A subtle vibration in the air, a shadow moving along the edges of the diner parking lot, an unfamiliar hum growing steadily. Instinct told them something was approaching. Fear, the kind that comes from being suddenly aware of one's misjudgment, crept in. But still, their arrogance made them linger, hoping that the moment was simply coincidence. Human perception is flawed, especially when clouded by hubris. They judged based on surface appearances, assuming the world is always as simple as it seems. They failed to account for legacy, for family bonds, for the unspoken codes of loyalty that can shift entire situations in seconds. And that failure is what would seal the outcome. Family loyalty is a force of nature. It is not rational, it is instinctual. It is not always visible, but it is felt. It compels action, demands respect, and exacts consequences when boundaries are crossed. The Hells Angels, in this case, are not simply a group defined by stereotype. They are a family unit with its own values, its own rules, its own sense of justice. And when someone outside that family violated one of their own, that invisible line was crossed, and it could not be ignored. Meanwhile, she remained seated, composed, her mind steady, aware that every second counted. Courage, in this context, is both protection and calculation. It is understanding that one's strength is magnified by unseen allies, that the power of identity and loyalty can neutralize brute force without confrontation. It is a lesson in human awareness that sometimes the mere existence of strength, when acknowledged by those who matter, is enough to transform a situation before physical action is taken. The aggressors, still unaware, were caught in the illusion of control. Their laughter faltered as they noticed subtle shifts in the environment, shadows aligning, headlights piercing darkness, engines humming in the distance. In that moment, they realized that the situation was no longer theirs to command. The illusion of power is fragile, and when confronted by forces beyond immediate perception, it shatters quickly. It is remarkable how often people misinterpret quietness for weakness, humility for submission, or calm for fear. In truth, the opposite is often the case. Quiet strength requires awareness, patience, and restraint. It commands respect without demand. It shifts dynamics without violence. And in the diner that night, it was precisely this kind of strength that reshaped the entire situation. When the Hells Angels arrived, their presence alone altered the energy of the room. It was not chaos that announced them, but certainty. Their movements were deliberate, synchronized, and purposeful. They did not need to speak loudly. Their intent was clear. And in that moment, the aggressors understood respect is not granted lightly, and assumptions about weakness carry consequences far beyond imagination. The lesson resonates beyond the immediate danger. It is a reminder that human beings are rarely as simple as they appear. Beneath the ordinary, beneath what is visible to the untrained eye, there exists depth, history, and connections that carry immense power. Those who fail to recognize this are often blindsided. Those who underestimate it are humbled. And those who navigate the world with awareness can wield influence that is profound, precise, and at times life-saving. Strength, courage, and presence are not always measured in action. Sometimes they are measured in anticipation, in observation, and in the quiet assertion of identity. The girl at the diner embodied that truth. Her composure, her awareness, and the unseen network supporting her conveyed power greater than any act of intimidation. It was a lesson in perception, a lesson in humility, and a reminder that what you see is never the full story. The men who thought they were in control were already outmatched, not through force of arms, but through the combination of courage, awareness, and family loyalty, forces far beyond their understanding. And that is the paradox of human strength. It is often invisible until revealed by circumstance, and when it appears, it cannot be ignored. By the time the scene concluded, the lesson had been written into the memory of everyone present. The girl had shown courage without violence. Her identity had commanded respect without declaration. And the power of loyalty had shifted the balance of a dangerous situation. It is a profound illustration of how appearances deceive, how assumptions fail, and how true strength often lies beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. In the quiet that followed, the diner returned to its ordinary rhythm. The aroma of coffee, the clinking of silverware, the hum of conversation all seemed unchanged, Yet, for those who witnessed what had occurred, the ordinary had been forever altered. Courage had been tested, assumptions had been shattered, and strength had quietly asserted itself in a way that demanded recognition. This is the kind of courage that shapes lives not through spectacle, but through awareness, calm, and understanding of unseen forces. It teaches that strength is not always loud, that power is not always obvious, and that family and loyalty carry weight that can never be underestimated. It is a story of perception, of humility, and of the quiet assertion of identity that demands respect, a lesson that resonates far beyond the walls of a single diner. True courage is revealed not in moments of convenience, but in moments when every choice counts. And in that diner, on that quiet night, courage spoke louder than any shout, louder than any act of aggression, louder than any assumption, and it changed everything.